It was about maybe 2, 3 months ago. I was on Instagram, and there was a story about Kellyanne Conway, and it was in reference to her being assaulted, and she said that she didn't want to come forward with any more of the charges that she was levying. And I said, okay, well, no one's asking her to do that. And I had a person who came and responded via the comment section and said, oh, well, you're supposed to be on the left, so I guess you're selective with who you choose to feel sorry for. Blah, 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 blah. I said, I was never a fan of claiming that something happened years after the fact. And that's where, I drew a line with me and a lot of the people who were opposed to Kavanaugh because I said, I despise his ideology of voting with corporations 87% of the time. But the idea that you're going to have charges come at him after decades of being a public figure without any proof is problematic. Now, afterward, he did things that led me more in the direction of the accuser. But this is a significant backdrop because a lot of times we are told that we shouldn't feel bad or we should not be exclusive in terms of who we choose to believe and who we shouldn't. When I think that's the way these cases should go, where you look at each of these instances on a case by case basis, the evidence presented, the character of the person sometimes comes into question. But let's dive into the story. So back in 2014, there was a senator named Tom Harkin. He had been in the Senate for several decades at that point, and he chose to retire. Um, and Iowa is a kind of state where they're they're pretty interesting. They're sort of I'd say they lean red, but they still go blue more often than somewhere like the South, for example. They have two Republican senators and one Republican congressman out of their four seats in the House. So it's kind of one way or the other. It's been carried by Democrats in presidential elections. At the same time, it's been um, supportive of Republican candidates within the state. So it's been just here and there. But going into this topic, so after Harkin stepped down, announced he wasn't going to run for another term, it allowed a Iowa state senator by the name of Joni Ernst to run for his seat and end up eventually winning. Um, and she's developed a bit of a record that I find very problematic. And I'm going to actually talk more about that after we go over the story. So a couple of months ago, she announced that she was divorcing from her husband. Um, and I want to read this article from Des Moines Register that came out, I think, the day before yesterday. Years before her divorce, Senator Joni Ernst was assaulted by her husband after she confronted him about his relationship with their daughter's babysitter, she wrote in court filings. Ernst, a Republican who represents Iowa, said that during her 26-year marriage with Gail Ernst, she was the victim of verbal and mental abuse and a physical assault, after which a victim's advocate wanted to take her to a hospital, she wrote in public records connected to their divorce. Gail has been very cruel, she wrote. This has been an extremely painful journey. Ernst in August announced through a brief statement that she and Gail Ernst were divorcing. The divorce was finalized this month. In an affidavit in October, Ernst described a history of emotional abuse that included her husband belittling her and becoming angry when she achieved her goals. She was interviewed by then candidate Donald Trump to run for vice president, but she turned him down, describing the move as not the right thing for her or her family, she said. Ernst, 48, a military veteran from Red Oak, was the first woman in Iowa elected to either chamber of Congress. She defeated Democrat Bruce Braley in 2014 to win a 6-year term in the Senate after emerging victorious from a 5-way Republican primary for the nomination. She has said she will seek a second term in the Senate. Ernst Chief of Staff Lisa Goes, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, declined to comment Tuesday. Joni Ernst's attorney did not respond to a request to comment, and a person who answered the phone at Gail Ernst's attorney's office hung up when a reporter asked to speak to the lawyer. Other efforts to contact the Ernsts were unsuccessful. Red Oak Police Chief Justin Rami told the Register on Tuesday that Red Oak officers have not responded to domestic calls at the Ernst residence. Montgomery County Sheriff Joe Sampson said he was unaware of any domestic issues involving the senator. The details contained in the affidavits by Joni and Gail Ernst were first reported Monday by City View, an alternative newspaper in Des Moines. A judge on Tuesday sealed most of the records in the divorce case. At the request of the Ernst, under Iowa law, divorce records are automatically made public when the divorce is finalized, but parties can request to keep some of the records private. Joni and Gail Ernst married after she graduated in 1992 from Iowa State University, according to court records. She wanted to pursue a master's degree from the University of Iowa, but instead followed him to Georgia, where he was stationed with the U.S. Army, she said. The couple moved from place to place as she worked various jobs. Ernst called herself the epitome of an Army wife, describing in court filings how she continued to drill for the reservoirs and care for their daughter, who is now 19. Throughout their marriage, Gail Ernst, 65, joked about their 17-year age difference. Joni Ernst wrote in her affidavit he referred to her as his retirement plan, something she did not think was funny, she wrote. When Gail retired from the Army in 2001, the couple moved back to Iowa. They have family members in the state and wanted to raise their own family there. Joni Ernst deployed with the Iowa National Guard as a company commander from April 2003 to 2004 in Kuwait and Iraq. When she returned, she ran for and was elected Montgomery County Auditor, serving from 2005 to 2011. While she was county auditor, according to Joni Ernst's affidavit, her husband had a special friendship with their daughter's babysitter, whom she said he spent time with even when their daughter was not there. The affidavit wasn't specific about when the argument happened, but she confronted him about it. We went through a very dark and troubling time in our marriage, Ernst wrote. I very nearly filed for divorce after a night that we argued and it became physical. Joni Ernst said she fled to her mother's house with her daughter in the middle of the night. Gail Ernst followed soon after, crying and apologizing, according to her affidavit. The next day, a victim's advocate at the courthouse performed an examination of Ernst's throat and head. She said the advocate wanted to take Ernst to the hospital, according to the court filing. Ernst declined, writing that she was embarrassed and humiliated and did not want people to know about what she described as an assault. To repair their marriage, Gail Ernst agreed to attend counseling, Joni Ernst wrote, but she said he told her not to discuss the assault in the sessions. I stupidly agreed, she wrote. Joni Ernst said the two moved on, but that their relationship was not the same. As a U.S. Senator, Joni Ernst has said domestic abuse should not be tolerated. When two ex-wives accused former White House aide Rob Porter of assault, Ernst told CNN the stories of abused men and women need to be heard and believed. Abuse is never okay, she said on the news channel in February 2018. We need to send a very clear signal that it won't be tolerated. The senator has also brought attention to sexual assault in the military. Having worked for a women's crisis shelter while at Iowa State, Ernst was among a group of senators who called for a special counsel investigation into USA Gymnastics after national team director Larry Nassar was sentenced to decades in prison for sexually abusing gymnast. On their 25th wedding anniversary in July 2018, days after Gail Ernst told Joni he wanted a divorce, Joni opened his email and found something she said devastated her. The senator found exchanges with someone she described as her ex-husband's longtime girlfriend, according to her account. The two were planning their divorces and saying demeaning things about Joni Ernst and the woman's husband, Ernst said. Ernst wrote she began a downward spiral of not eating or sleeping. She rapidly lost 17 pounds, which she said was about 13% of her weight. Her staff canceled 2 days of appointments because she wrote, I couldn't function. In his response to her affidavit, Gail Ernst denied ever having an affair, writing, I've never even danced with any other woman before I filed for divorce. He made no mention of Ernst's assault allegation in his response. Gail Ernst accused Joni of having an affair with one of her soldiers while she was deployed as company commander. He caught her secretly emailing him, he wrote. She admitted to the affair, said she was sorry, and begged me not to say anything, Gail Ernst wrote. But their daughter was 4 at the time, he wrote, so he swallowed his pride and kept quiet. When Joni Ernst won her Senate seat, it was the first time in her marriage she earned more money than her husband, according to her affidavit. Despite previous promises, Ernst said her then-husband was not supportive of her career and became mean when people brought up politics or asked her about work. At one point, Gail Ernst said he would divorce Joni if she ran again for the Senate in 2020, though she wrote, he seeks to continue to gain from the success he so badly didn't want me to have. Gail Ernst denied the accusation in his response, calling it an outright lie. When she announced she would run in 2020 in December, Ernst told reporters, "To anyone who would like to step up and enter into that race, I say bring it on." Gail Ernst wrote that he begged Joni to spend more time with him and their daughter, but her career was all consuming. He accused her of dating other men in Washington and said other parents at their daughter's school called him a single father. Gail Ernst said he gave up on his goals so Joni Ernst could pursue her dreams. Joni Ernst said Gail Ernst was now trying to derail her ambitions. Although Gail seems to think he can live off my salary for the rest of his life, Joni Ernst wrote, he is doing everything he can to destroy me and ruin my chances for re-election, which would end the gravy train he apparently plans to ride. In the divorce papers, Gail Ernst, who retired in 2016, asked the court to award him $4,000 a month in temporary alimony, saying he grossed about $5,700 a month with disability, while she earned $14,500. He also requested $10,000 in attorney fees. In the end, neither was awarded alimony, and each was responsible to pay attorney fees. In a financial statement, Joni Ernst estimated their net worth was worth 930,000, while he calculated it was closer to 1,039,700. Gail Ernst, who had two other children from a previous marriage, was awarded their residence in Red Oak, as well as 3 lots in town. Joni Ernst was awarded the condo in Washington, D.C. The senator kept a 2013 Hyundai Elantra, a 2017 Ford Explorer, a 2009 Harley Davidson. Her former husband kept a 1998 Chevy Corvette, a 2008 Dodge Ram, a 2006 Harley Davidson record show. So I read all of that because I wanted to underscore the back and forth and the kind of hypocrisy that's in place here. So, what are we told when we hear about the plight of women in modern society? That they have to do with the patriarchy, that they're the person, the male, is somehow authoritative over them. But let's call it like it is. A senator is not an average person. They're one of the most powerful people in the United States. And so when you have the bully pulpit of being a public official who is going to make the claim that the person you're with put their hands on you, they will instant the police because they're, as officers in any state are big bootlickers for higher authorities, would instantaneously have disposed of him or, removed him from the premises. But also, you have to love the just the I find it kind of comical that the same person who is talking about how evil it is for abuse to be committed on people is the same one who voted to keep the worst humanitarian crisis in modern history, the one in Yemen, going, where we've seen over 85,000 children starve to death as Saudi Arabia has blocked off food ports. And I kind of wish I could show the photos right now because I like people being able to see something. It's one thing to hear information, but to actually have it shown, the effects of being starved to death for days or months can have on someone. This, horrible famine that's going to affect 14 million people. She fully backed that. Um, even came out and said, "Oh, don't separate from Saudi Arabia just because of the Khashoggi killing. It's okay." So this person who showed no empathy, no compassion, no type of concern or care for thousands of people who are being starved to death by her government, the one that she plays a role in as a member of Congress, is now expecting for me and anyone else from any other part of the U.S. to go, "Oh, poor senator. I feel so bad that your husband hit you, or is alleged to have hit you, and that he was, allegedly cheating with some woman. Oh my God, it's so horrible. And you're such a poor baby that as you sit around with your 3 cars, as it said right there, they had 6 cars altogether, and both of them got half." in multiple houses. Jesus. And I guess what is so problematic is we have these people who, with their way of just kind of always lumping themselves in with who anyone that's around, they'll try to say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't talk about someone that way because their vote for the Saudi conflict has nothing to do with the domestic abuse allegations." And I'm going to refute that because here's the thing: her, and you read it in that, you can hear it in that article, when she becomes a senator in well, she's elected in 2014 and then takes off 2015. It's the first time in her career that she's making more money than her husband. And so not only is she making more money, but she's in a position of power, where you can actually do something. Um, and when you think someone has a disillusion with the way that human beings treat each other as she sees in her own marriage, and that person literally decides to continue the acts of aggression and violence, except on a much larger scale with this war in another country by supporting it, it's kind of hard to not see how those two things are interconnected because the wealth that she accumulates has a lot to do with her political career, and involvement with the U.S. military. That's just the way it is. So I don't get how you could not compare the two. But another thing I wanted to show you, or I guess kind of mention here, is that there was a an article by the Human Rights Campaign that they did 2 years ago, or well, we could kind of say 3 years ago. But I'm going to say 2 years ago, and it was around the time that the RNC they were having their convention. And it says, taking the stage on the opening night of the RNC convention, and just hours after their party embraced the most overtly anti-LGBTQ platform in its history, are three U.S. senators who embody the GOP's hostility toward equality. Tom Ernst, Republican, Arizona; Jeff Sessions, Republican, Alabama. Not Arizona, Arkansas, rather, for Tom Cotton; and Joni Ernst, Republican, Iowa. Their political careers have been marked by opposing LGBTQ equality and embracing the discriminatory provisions reflected in their party's new platform. Go to Ernst's part of this article, and it says, like Cotton, Ernst voted against the Student Non-Discrimination Act, which would prohibit LGBTQ discrimination in public schools, and amendments that would ensure the same-sex couples have access to Social Security and veteran benefits. So, let's not mince words. This is a bigot who has treated those with significantly less power as lesser or as subhuman for the entire time that she's been in Congress, and presumably when she was in the state Senate. I don't know about her record back then, but this is someone who, if you look at the career of their entire way of doing things, has always been based around how many people that are not like me can I actively discriminate against. Um, and ironically enough, now that she's supposedly been tossed around a little bit, she gets upset and she goes, "Oh, please feel bad for me. I don't want to be seen as someone that is being weakly beaten." And it's again these people enable their abusers. I'm going to send you that Human Rights Campaign article, if in case someone thinks this is fake news. So there it is right there. But this is someone who enabled their abuser by having a bully pulpit of being a U.S. senator and sitting around and going, "Oh, but I can't do anything as I'm a public official who has more power than probably 99% of the other people in the country." And like I said, officers have no issue with, like, just think about this. I'm going and protesting any senator you can think of, and then they say, "Oh, he hit me or he pushed me or something." They would not need proof. They would not need a video. They would instantly dispose of me. So when I see this public official with power, cower around and say that they stupidly agree, it's like, yeah, you are stupid, but you're not just stupid because of allowing this affair, or not affair, but this physical, domestic abuse to go on. You're dumb because of your voting record as well. Um, and I have some people who try to make the women seem to be the victim. And look, I don't. If this stuff did happen, it was wrong for the husband to do that. But you're not going to make me feel sorry for a person who literally has not shown a shred of empathy throughout the entire time that they have been a senator, and who is actively campaigning for a second term to continue the same discriminatory practices once reelected for another 6 years. It's incredible. So that was my piece on this hypocrisy. I don't feel bad for people who have power and that, purposefully choose not to do anything um, to make a difference when they can. This is a U.S. senator, not some random, person that just got out of Iowa University. So this is someone that had power and chose to let the abuser keep things going, all the while being abusive toward various groups that she's not a part of and refusing to understand their plight. So you're not going to get my empathy if you cannot have empathy toward others. It doesn't work that way. But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good day.